Hello everybody, I'm going to dive in and do a quick how-to video, and this is how to season your stamps. So one of the questions that I get a lot of times, one of the most frequent questions I get or that I see is when your stamping is blotchy. And I'm going to see if this stamp set here is going to be blotchy. A lot of times my paper pumpkin stamps, I have my paper pumpkin kit. I just got it. I don't even know what's in it. I just opened it up to do this video really quick. But oftentimes my paper pumpkin stamps are the ones that tend to be blotchy. So when you go to stamp, you have a clear stamp, a photopolymer, or a, and this is a perfect example. A photopolymer stamp. You can see that it's not as crisp. And it has a couple blotchy spots. So the first thing I do, if that happens, is I want to make sure that my stamp is clean, because sometimes little specks of something will get on it. And also there's different quality stamps. So if you get a stamp at like the Target dollar spot or the Michael's dollar spot, they're going to be less, the quality of that stamp is going to be less. So you have to take that into consideration. Now, my Stampin' Up! Stamps, I usually don't have any issues with these. And Stampin' Up! Has a very specific way that they create their photopolymer stamps. And I've actually seen them, made. I've been to where they make them and I've seen the process and what they do, and they're very, very high quality. In fact, Stampin' Up! For a long time didn't have clear stamps because they couldn't figure out how to have a really good quality clear stamp. Clear stamps are usually less, not as good quality. So you can see this is a brand new stamp, and I'm not going to have to do anything. I don't have to season it. But this Ho Ho Ho, it needs to be seasoned a little bit. So there's several ways that you can do this. The problem is that the ink isn't really soaking into the stamp. So my go-to method is to use a sand eraser. You can use a red rubber eraser as well. The red ones, that I think about them like in school, you have them. This is a sand eraser. It's a Tombow sand eraser. I get this on Amazon. I think I got mine in a pack of 2. And what you want to do is rub it across the surface of your stamp. And what you will see is you'll actually see it to start, the surface of it will turn a little bit white. Now, I've already stamped in red, so mine is stained, so you're not going to see the white as much. But just, you just do it a little bit, and then you want to make sure all those little pieces of stuff are off of there. And I like to, after I clean mine, just dry it off. And then when you put it in your ink, you can see it soak into your ink. So, get it in your ink and soak it onto the actual stamp, and then try it again. And you're going to get a much crisper image. So you can already see the difference. So if we do another one, so I can show you another method. Let's use this Emery and let's see if it is going to do the same thing. So I'm going to let that ink get on there, and then I'm going to stamp. And yeah, it's pretty blotchy. I mean, I can definitely tell a difference where it's blotchy. So the other thing you can do is use a Emery board. This is an Emery board that is not, the grit on it is not very thick. So I just get these again on Amazon. And you're going to rub it across your stamp and the surface. And usually you can see, see how that's all white? You can kind of see, even though it's stained, it gets a little bit white. And then clean it off just to make sure there's no little specks of anything. Dry that off. And then we're going to do the same thing. And a lot of times you will be able to see the difference of how the stamp soaks into your, how the ink soaks into your stamp. And you can see already that that is a much better image. Okay, so the last way that you can do your stamp, let's see, let's do another word one. The word ones are the ones that I feel like do this the most. So the other thing that you can do, so let's stamp this and see if it is blotchy. And it's not as blotchy. It's a little bit blotchy, but you can take Versamark, which is a clear ink. And you can ink it up with Versamark and then ink it up with your colored ink. And sometimes, now that it lightens the ink, and I don't think it did a great job. There are maybe some bolder images, like ones that are like an image like this, where it's a thicker, not a very lined image. Like this it's just lines and it has open. This is filled in. The Versamark might work better for those. I know I've seen people do that before. So it's an option that you can try. The best thing that you can do is just try a couple different options to see what you prefer, what works best with the inks that you have. So Stampin' Up! Inks have a foam ink pad and they are water-based. And so it's different than maybe how other inks will react with different things. So my favorite method is definitely the sand eraser, or a lot of times, because this is just in my tools, I will just use this, and you're not going to hurt your stamps. I mean, I don't think you should file on it for 10 minutes, but just running it over the surface is going to smooth that out, and you'll be able to see. Usually your stamp will turn slightly white, and that's how you know you've sanded it enough. And sometimes as you're doing it, when you sand it, you may notice like it will be better over here, or it will be better, like maybe the Y is not as good, or so you'll notice like maybe you need to sand it a little bit more. And I'm using a wipe. It's probably better to use a Stampin' scrub to get all the other little pieces out. There's some little pieces of this wipe on here, but you should be able to get the idea from the 3 that I did. So just do that lightly. I like the sand eraser. I use this a lot, and I think it is one of the best, but you can also just use a nail file and just go over it lightly and then stamp it. And then if you need to do it a little bit more, stamp it again. So I hope that is helpful in knowing how to season your stamps, and if you are getting a good enough impression, or that the particularly with your word stamps, if they are filled in enough or properly.